For decades, Harley rode on a simple promise: a legendary badge and a business that kept that legend alive. In 2026, that promise is being tested. Paid-off machines sitting in garages are suddenly Harley's fiercest competition. Buyers lean back at the desk instead of pulling the trigger. Parts and service delays make owners sour. This piece isn't about a paint job or a limited run. It's about whether riders still think the Harley habit is worth paying for. I'll pull receipts from factory reports, dealer lots, and owner stories to explain why this year could be the brand's last real chance to prove it still deserves that place in your garage. Stick around till the end, because at the end you will know the exact line on the paper that should make you pause. The silent walkout. Walk into a Harley store in 2026, and you can feel it before anyone speaks. The bikes still look right under the lights, the paint still pops, the name on the tank still carries weight. You swing a leg over a touring rig, feel the bars, rock the suspension once, and it still feels like something built to carry real miles. The salesman sees the look in your eye and knows the bike already did most of the talking. That part of the magic still works. The trouble starts when the paper hits the desk. Not the sticker price everyone jokes about, the full out the door number with every fee and tax glued on. That is where you watch riders lean back instead of forward. They do not argue as much as they used to. They do not puff up and fight for every dollar. More often they go quiet, fold the sheet, say they will think about it, and walk. No scene, no anger, just one less serious buyer in the books. That is why 2026 matters. This is the year when that habit either changes or sets hard. If riders get used to saying no at the desk, that becomes the new normal. A paid-off machine in the garage starts looking wiser every month, and the idea of another long note feels reckless instead of exciting. Harley does not die from one bad season. It dies when enough riders decide they do not really need a new Harley anymore. When the air in the showroom feels softer, the real test is whether the numbers behind the scenes tell the same story. The profit crack. A premium motorcycle brand is supposed to handle lower volume. That is the whole idea. You charge serious money because the machine is special, the ownership feels supported, and the company behind it is strong. You do not need to sell like a budget commuter brand if each bike earns real profit. For years, that was Harley's story to riders and investors. Fewer units, bigger margins, steady strength. That only works while the core business throws off reliable cash. Then, the recent reports showed something riders were never meant to see. The motorcycle side booked an operating loss in the ballpark of $29 million in 2025. For some industries, that is noise. For a company that sells image and emotion at premium prices, that is a sharp warning. It means the high sticker and the legendary badge are not automatically translating into healthy money anymore. The promise of "we charge more because we are strong" starts to crack. 2026 is the test. You cannot run premium prices on weak margins forever. Riders do not track every figure. They just need proof the company stands behind the machines. When support thins and corners get shaved, loyalty dies. The showroom will reveal whether the money story holds. If you want more straight talk on what happens behind those showroom doors, hit like, subscribe, and tell us how Harley looks in your town. Empty floor signs. Step back and look at how some dealerships feel today. The room is not empty, but it is leaner than the old days. Where there used to be long rows of touring bikes nose to tail, you might see careful spacing and a few lonely gaps. Corporate language calls it healthy inventory. On paper, that means fewer units sitting too long, less discounting, and cleaner balance sheets. In practice, it changes the temperature of the store in a way riders notice without even thinking about it. A thick floor says the brand believes in demand. It says the factory expects people to keep walking in, trading up, and riding away. A thin floor says someone is worried about getting stuck with metal that will not move. Staff hover a little closer. Managers watch traffic patterns a little tighter. You might only see one color that hits your taste instead of three. Maybe the bike you wanted is only there in a trim you never would have chosen. Maybe the sales guy mentions that more are coming sometime later, instead of rolling options out with confidence. Atmosphere has always been part of Harley. Riders never bought only a motorcycle. They bought a place where the weekend lived, even on Tuesday. When that fades and talk shifts to rates instead of rides, the urge to sign fades. 2026 reveals if that energy returns again. Desk time walkouts. The final gate is not chrome, sound, or styling. It is the small office where dreams either become keys or stay ink on a page. By the time a rider sits down, the emotional work is done. He has pictured the first trip. He has mentally planned the first set of bars, seat, or luggage. The salesman has already seen that look and knows a real deal is possible. Then the breakdown begins, and every line on that paper starts fighting for or against the decision. Trade value hits first, a bike that carried tens of thousands of miles, thousands of dollars in parts, and years of memories gets reduced to a figure that feels insultingly low. Fees stack up in quiet little rows. Documentation, freight, setup, protection, each one standard, each one lifting the total farther from what felt reasonable walking in. Add taxes, add a warranty pitch, add the interest rate in a world where borrowing is not cheap. And the monthly number turns into something heavy. The most dangerous part is how quiet that decision looks. Riders rarely argue. They smile, take the numbers, and leave. Some call later, many never do. Others buy used or pick another badge where payments hurt less. Each walkout sends the same message. Sales slipped because buyers felt unwelcome inside, paid off power. For Harley in 2026, the meanest rival is often sitting 3 feet from a toolbox. It is that older touring bike or cruiser, already paid off, already set up, already trusted. No finance manager can beat the feeling of opening the garage, seeing a machine that owes you nothing, and knowing it will light on the first crank. The bags fit your gear. The bars sit where your shoulders like them. The seat has your shape worn into it. Every scar on the paint carries a story. That kind of history does not show up on any trade sheet. Riders do the math whether they admit it or not. On one side, you have no payment, known quirks, and a bike that has already proved itself across thousands of miles. On the other side, you have a big monthly note, higher insurance, higher taxes, and a machine that might still have teething issues. A few extra horsepower and fresh paint start feeling pretty small against the weight of that difference. The longer a bike stays reliable, the harder it is to justify letting it go. 2026 is the year that tension really matters. If enough longtime owners keep saying, "I am fine with what I have," then the classic trade cycle breaks. Harley can only make up that loss by pulling in new riders who never owned the brand before. Once you see how stubborn that paid-off bike can be, the importance of that missing first, Harley becomes painfully clear. The broken ladder. Every strong motorcycle culture runs on a simple idea. Somebody gets their first real bike, learns, crashes softly a few times, fixes it, loves it, then eventually reaches for something bigger and better. For Harley, that used to mean a clear ladder, maybe a smaller, cheaper cruiser to begin with, then the first big twin, then the touring rig of their dreams. Somewhere along the way, that path got too steep and too expensive for a lot of new riders. Look at what a younger rider faces in 2026. Rent or a mortgage that never stops climbing. Student loans that refuse to die. Insurance bills for cars. And health that hit harder every year. Groceries that make every trip to the store a little punch in the ribs. After all that, there is not much left for a big-ticket toy, even one with a legendary badge. When a Harley entry price stretches past what feels reasonable, many first-timers quietly turn to cheaper imports or older used bikes. The broken ladder does not only hurt the young. Middle-aged riders who finally have a little money left after raising kids hit the same wall. They might want to step into the brand late, but the starter rung is still too high. When the doorway looks that narrow from every angle, even honest interest dies off. which is why any move Harley makes to lower that entry point has to be handled with surgical care. The cut-down trap. On paper, the answer looks simple. Build a cheaper Harley, and more people will buy in. In the real world, riders know the difference between affordable and cut down. A simple, honest motorcycle that just happens to cost less can feel right. A machine that looks like the brand carved pieces off its sole to reach a price point smells wrong the moment you sit on it. In 2026, that difference is life or death. Riders judge with their eyes and hands long before they touch the key. Welds, finishes, switchgear, cables. The way the motor fills the frame, all of it speaks. If a so-called accessible model looks thin, plastic heavy, or rushed, people spot it instantly. Longtime Harley owners feel insulted. New riders feel like they are being sold the cheap version of the real thing. No one wants to admit that in the parking lot. They just do not buy. Even a good entry bike cannot stand alone, though. If the system wrapped around it feels worn out, excitement fades fast. A rider might buy the cheaper model, then hit a wall on parts, support, or trade value later. That sour taste travels back up the ladder and poisons interest in the next step, which is why all the corporate talk about back to the bricks only matters if the experience at the counter honestly changes. Where the rubber meets paper. The slogan sounds strong. Get back to dealers, back to riders, back to the basics that built the brand. On slides and earnings calls, back to the bricks fits nicely. The problem is that riders do not live on slides. They live in service lanes, parts departments, and finance offices. For 2026 to mean anything, the plan has to show up there first. At the counter, that should look like clear communication, honest timelines, and a staff that knows the machines instead of guessing. When a rider needs a part, he should get a straight answer, not 3 different stories. When a warranty question appears, the dealer should fight to make it right, not hide behind fine print. When a bike is in for work, calls should come on time, with real updates, not silence, punctuated by excuses. Those basics matter more than any new catchphrase. The truth is simple. The real decision on Harley's future does not happen in meeting rooms. It happens every time a rider walks out of a dealership, either feeling respected or feeling burned. That verdict gets written across 2026, one customer at a time, after the handshake, after the papers, when the first real test of ownership finally shows up. Waiting on the road. The real test of a motorcycle never comes on delivery day. It comes the first time something small goes wrong and you walk back through the dealer door with a part number in your hand. Maybe it is a switch that failed early, a sensor that went odd, a warranty item you figured would be simple. You expect a quick order, a straight answer, and a clear plan. Instead, too many riders in 2026 are hitting a wall of shrugs and long timelines. You hear the same lines across different towns. The system shows no stock. The part is on back order. The warehouse will not commit to a date. Service does not know when a tech will be free. Nobody is rude, but nobody is firm either. A bike that should have been off the road for a long weekend sits for weeks. Another owner ends up riding a backup machine or 4 wheels, while the note on the main rig still pulls money every month. Plenty of riders will not make a show of it. They will smile, take their repaired bike home, and simply decide never to put themselves in that position again. Which is why the shift to other brands so often happens without any shouting at all. If you value honest, rider-first breakdowns without corporate spin, make sure you subscribe so you do not miss where this story heads next again. The quiet exit. Most breakups in this world do not involve slammed doors. They happen over time, through little disappointments, until one day the person is simply gone. Motorcycle loyalty works the same way. A rider can still respect Harley history, still wear the t-shirt, still wave at other bar and shield bikes, while choosing to park something else in his own garage. The heart never flips in one big move. the Xiai wallet does. All it takes is a few small advantages from a rival. Another manufacturer might offer a stronger warranty that covers items without a fight. The seat could feel better after 300 miles. Suspension out of the box might handle rough back roads without punishing an aging back. A dealer 2 towns over may answer service questions faster and respectfully. Alone, they seem minor. Together, they look like common sense. The hurt does not end at the brand logo. It spreads through every business that built its living around those bikes. Local chain reaction. Harley's power has never lived only in the factory. It lives in the web of independent shops, painters, seat builders, tuners, parts distributors, and rally vendors who turned those motorcycles into a full world. A new bike sold at a dealer is just the beginning. It becomes a used bike in a few years, then a project in someone's garage, then a reason to order cams, pipes, bars, bags, shocks, windshields, tires, and all the little pieces that keep a local shop humming. That pipeline keeps money flowing far beyond Milwaukee. When fewer new Harleys roll out, that entire chain slows. Custom builders see fewer fresh canvases coming through their doors. Performance shops do more maintenance and fewer wild builds. Parts suppliers trim their orders, nervous about sitting on slow-moving inventory. Rallies still happen, but some vendors quietly report lighter sales and older crowds. The energy on Main Street feels off, like a band playing the same songs to a smaller bar every year. Riders feel the change without spreadsheets. A favorite mechanic cuts hours or closes. The painter shifts toward cars, away from tanks. A mail order shop leans on parts. Each signal says the same thing. The scene survives, thinner and quieter, which leads straight into the fight inside the company over how to look healthier, without cutting out the very things riders pay for. Cutting the core. Every public company lives with investors standing over its shoulder. Those investors want clear numbers, clean charts, and as little risk as possible. In Harley's case, that means constant pressure for better margins, leaner inventory, more predictable cash flow, and less money tied up in experiments that may never pay off. None of that is evil on its own. A brand that ignores financial reality will not protect riders for long. The problem starts when the chase for leaner numbers collides with the real reasons people buy the motorcycles. From a spreadsheet view, cutting support staff, trimming model lines, and tightening dealer programs can look brilliant. Fewer people on payroll, fewer slow-moving variants, lower spending on on-the-ground help, all push certain ratios in the right direction. Short-term reports look sharper. Presentations sound more confident. Bonuses get easier to defend. Yet out where the wrenches turn and the miles stack, those same cuts can feel like someone quietly hollowing out the core. Meanwhile, the outside forces that jack up costs and squeeze households are not easing off. So, while Harley balances its own books, riders are measuring every dollar twice before they ever touch a showroom door. Open lanes for rivals. Rivals do not need to sound like Harley to hurt Harley. They just need to meet riders where life actually is in 2026. That means a touring rig that feels smoother out of the crate, a cruiser that fits a shorter inseam, or a large displacement bike that costs a couple $100s less each month. Plenty of brands have figured out that sweet spot, while Harley argues with its own price sheet. Look at what many riders compare today. They see a big Japanese tourer with a legendary reputation for crossing states without drama, often with better wind protection, a softer seat, and a factory trunk that actually swallows 2 full helmets. They see European cruisers with modern brakes, strong mid-range, and less weight to wrestle in a parking lot. They see long warranties and roadside programs that do not bury them in fine print. The badge is different, but the promise is simple. Fewer headaches, more miles. 2026 is dangerous because those small, rational decisions start stacking. One rider here, one there, a couple more in each town choosing an easier path. After a few seasons of that, the default assumption that a big American cruiser means Harley breaks down. Once that reflex is gone, winning those riders back costs twice as much work. While that slow drift plays out, the forces squeezing every new bike purchase from above are still gaining strength. Rising cost tide. Every number on that paper at the dealer desk has a shadow behind it. Steel prices, labor costs, shipping rates, tariffs, and whatever fresh rule some agency dropped last quarter all sneak into the final figure a rider sees. Nobody needs a lecture on global trade to understand it. They just notice that every year a new bike feels farther out of reach, even when their riding habits have not changed at all. Freight does not move itself for free. When fuel spikes and trucking companies raise rates, the cost of getting a motorcycle from a plant to a dealer climbs. When governments add tariffs on certain imports, parts and subassemblies go up, so the bike can even be built. When new environmental or safety regulations force redesigns, engineering teams burn through cash long before a single unit is sold. All of that weight settles into the bottom line price, like sand in a bucket. Those pressures do not stop at the showroom wall either. When riders spend less because costs feel out of control, the people who build, ship, and sell those motorcycles start feeling the strain in their own paychecks. Jobs on the line. Harley is not just a nameplate on a fuel tank. In a lot of places, it is a line on the local job board, a sponsor on the Little League fence, a reason a small diner fills up on Saturday mornings every summer. Plants, suppliers, shipping outfits, and dealerships all carry pieces of that identity. When new bike demand softens, the pain does not show up only in an earnings slide. It walks into neighborhoods wearing work boots. Softer demand often means hiring freezes instead of new faces on the factory floor. It means fewer overtime shifts, more nervous talk about transfers, and maybe a quiet closure of a small satellite operation that never made headlines. Suppliers that once shipped pallets of parts every week might see orders slip back to every other week. The truck yard that used to load multiple trailers of motorcycles each day may cut back drivers or sell equipment. That is why criticism from longtime riders often sounds so sharp. They are not only defending nostalgia, they are defending neighbors, cousins, and friends who lived inside the Harley economy. With that much on the line, the only question left is what has to change immediately for 2026 to turn from a slide into a pivot. Riders decide what survives. Strip away the corporate language, and 2026 comes down to something simple. Riders will either feel that Harley earned another place in their life, or they will not. No slogan, no limited paint run, no press event can fake that. The verdict shows up in how many people decide to trade, to step up, or to finally buy their first bar and shield instead of talking about it for one more year. There are clear signs riders should watch. Deals must feel square, not clever. Trades need to respect the old bike's story. Fees must stay sane. Payments must match real households. Healthy dealers show alive floors, responsive service, honest timelines. Entry bikes must feel genuine, with smoother warranty backup and support. 2026 is the line in the sand. Either the brand shows riders, through real value and real support, that it still deserves a place in their garages, or those garages slowly fill with other stories. The sound, the badge, and the past will always matter. But from this point on, the only thing that keeps Harley alive is whether riders decide the future feels worth paying for again. If that hit home, tell me what you'd do: trade, hold, or walk away. Drop your year/model and story in the comments. If you learned something useful, hit like so other riders see it, and subscribe for more straight-up videos. Ride safe, and stick around, we're just getting started.